Elizabeth Chappell, a lifelong entrepreneur who finally found my niche. After years of new ideas and jumping from business to business, I figured out how to turn a craft into a successful career. In 2016, I started a monthly subscription box for quilters. That little startup has grown into a thriving, multiple six-figure business that I am so proud of. As a published author, designer of fabrics and patterns being sold throughout the world, my favorite thing to do is to teach others how to grow a career of their dreams. Each week, you'll hear from me or from other guests who are creative entrepreneurs, so you can learn exactly what to do and what not to do to grow a career that's more rewarding and successful than you ever thought possible. If you're ready to turn your craft into a career that you love, I am so excited you're here. Welcome to the Craft to Career podcast. Listeners, you are in for a treat. We have Darrin Stern as the guest this week on the podcast. He is the organizer behind H+H Americas. If you don't know what that is, you will by the end of this show. It's a trade show. It's a business-to-business trade show. And even before H+H Americas, there is a whole consumer show that happens that we're going to learn about. I did not know about it until Darrin reached out and said, hey, we've got to be sure to talk about not just H+H, but the Fiber and Fabric Craft Festival as well. So we talk about both of these events. And if you're thinking, I wonder if I should go, I am definitely going to be there. And after chatting with Darrin, we hit stop, we stopped recording and we talked more. And he shared some ideas of hey, yeah, you should rent out a room for your podcast listeners. And threw out some ideas of how to make it like a party within itself. So I'll be sharing more details. But if you are a podcast listener and you're thinking of coming to H+H Americas, do. It will be fun. It will be so fun. You won't be alone. There will be a community of people who are also quilterpreneurs and podcast listeners, plus many, many more. I mean, it'll just be so fun. I'm really looking forward to it. And then I also just have to say thank you. There have been a few new podcast reviews on Apple Podcasts, and I'm going to read one of those today from Merry Go Round Quilts. And she actually has been a guest on the podcast before. She is an alumni of mine and has a great business. Mary says, welcome back. Loved the episode with Dimtech and Kim of Fat Quarter Shop. I enjoy hearing how these businesses got their start from a seed of an idea and grew to be so successful. They are human just like me and makes me realize I can do whatever I put my mind to. It's very inspirational. Thank you. I love that, Mary. It's true. I mean, you hear these stories of people that seem like, wow, I can't believe, Kimberly Jolly, Fat Quarter Shop. They're just human and we're just human. And it kind of levels that playing field of oh, hey, if they can do it, so can I. I've got this thing I want to share with the world and all right, I'm going to do it. So thank you so much for the review. And I'm really glad you found it inspirational. If you've not left a review for the podcast, I do see every single one. It means so much. But beyond that, just when you leave a review, consider it yourself sharing the podcast with somebody else. The algorithm sees someone leaving a review and says, this is a good podcast. It's a good quality. People like it. They're leaving a review. And then they go and share that and recommend the podcast to other creative entrepreneurs. So just consider your review as paying it forward, sharing this knowledge and the insight and inspiration with another creative entrepreneur. And now let's dive in and let me introduce you to Darrin Stern. Darrin, thank you so much for being here on the Craft to Career podcast. For our listeners, can you just do a brief introduction of who you are in the crafty quilty world?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on today. My name is Darrin Stern. I'm a vice president here at Cologne Messe Inc. We are the organizers of H+H Americas and the Fiber Fabric Craft Festival. The first one is a business-to-business wholesale event for people who make their living via crafts. And our new festival is open to anyone in the public. Both events are located in the Midwest at the Rosemont Exhibition Center in Rosemont, Illinois.
Awesome. Okay, so are you from Illinois?
I guess I have to ask you back a question. How long do you have to live in a place before you can say that you're from there?
That is a fair question.
I grew up in the New York City area, but I mean, over my career, I've been in 10 different cities, but I've been now here in in a couple different locations, but in the basic Chicago area for, 25 years, I think it is, give or take. So I'm going to have to say yes, I'm from here now. But as I say, this depends on where you count from.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Minnesota and I moved when I was a junior in high school. And I still say I'm from Minnesota and I'm 44 almost. Like, that's ridiculous. But, it is what it is. So,
yes.
Well, I'm very excited to have you here because I'll admit I've not. I've not been to H+H, and I've been calling it H+H. Is H+H the official name?
Well, if you look at our logo, it's an H with a plus sign and an H. So is it H+H, H+H? I don't actually have an official answer on that.
Okay,
I would say
right.
when you write it, it's H with a plus sign and an H. Yes, but when you say it, it's kind of like H and H. It's just kind of easier to say than H+H. It's a little shorter. It's kind of like the same. And we picked up the same for our consumer show where it's fiber and then with the plus sign Fabric Craft Festival. So it's the same kind of thing of just the H and the H. Okay.
Because I might say H+H. That's what I've been saying now. So it might just slip out. And
we've been called worse, so that's okay. We'll take that one. But yes.
All right. So, okay, I will say it is the talk of the quilting community. So I have known about Quilt Market. That's how I got introduced to this whole community. That's been the show forever. It sounds like H+H is the new show to go to. And I have heard that you've done a very good job of making it a social event. So can you tell me how this is a social event, H+H?
Yes. Well, what I would say is we're unique, right? Because we have many different rings. I tend to use the analogy of Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus because we have multiple circus tents all happening at one time. And it is kind of hard to kind of say, which way should I look? Left, right, center. Wait a minute, I just missed the left. Now I got to look back to the right. So I think by having so many moving parts, it adds to that fun social atmosphere because it's just so unique and just that exciting piece. Yes, we're new too, right? We are a shiny new toy, for the respect of other events that preceded us in this industry. Look, we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for what people built yesterday. It's just now we have a new way to look at the industry and we're bringing something what we think is completely new because it's not just for quilting. Whether you're talking traditional quilting, modern quilting, garment sewing, cosplay, and it's always focused on the idea of the business, but that's still half the show because then you have needlepoint, felting, and then obviously many people know is we're heavy also in yarn. We're very important to that industry too. So it's I think that complete atmosphere and then the activities that we host. It's not just an exhibition. It's not just education. It's also happy hours and meetups and book signings and fashion shows and late night parties and more. And it's art exhibitions, it's student exhibitions. It's a never ending salad of words and ideas and thoughts because we never stop thinking. And when people say, I have an idea, our answer is yes. Yeah, then you got to stop because sometimes when you just say yes to everything, it gets a little crazy. So there are obviously limits to that piece, but we're super proud in how we try to bring the community into what we do and that we listen, react, and we explain.
What's the craziest thing you said yes to, in your opinion?
I think this upcoming year's entrance unit, something that is not even ready to be public yet. I think the way I could describe it, though, it's an installation being designed by about 22 different designers within the show. And they are working on this piece as a community to showcase, let alone their design talents as a group, but then as individuals. And they set themselves on a challenge to say you could only use products that are from the show. And you must use all the major categories, meaning you have to have thread, you have to have fabric, and you have to have yarn. And then, yes, if you want beads and buttons and other things. So I think it speaks to the show because it came from the community. It's coming from the people at the show who just want to say yes. And it started when they were like, well, can we do the piece? I said yes. And they said, what if we did this crazy idea for installation? Okay, fine. And they didn't actually expect me to say yes.
Very cool. So it sounds like you're the one that they run the ideas by. How did you start H+H? Tell me the beginning of this.
Long ago, I have a mother. No, I'm kidding. We won't go that far back. Okay, so in general, H&H, it actually stands for Handarbeit and Hobby. So that is German words. The show originates from Germany, from Cologne, Germany. It is originated by an organization called Initiative Handarbeit. They are the German Industry Association. They actually started H&H. It had, I think, a different name in the beginning, but you're going back 50, 60 plus years. And it always took place in the city in Cologne. Cologne Messe is the convention center and the show organizer. So if you think of your hometown, wherever you're listening to this, whether you're in New York at the Javits Center, Chicago McCormick Place, or the Moscone Center in San Francisco, think of those buildings. But the difference is the building owner is also the show organizer. And we're also a public-private entity. So majority is owned by the city, but there's also private shareholders involved in the company as well. It had been operating there for years. And then over time, what we do is what we call when we internationalize it. Then you pick up our international subsidiaries in our offices, which is then us here in the United States. So our original job was finding North American companies to go over to Cologne. COVID happened, which was for some industries awful. Well, for humankind, awful. For some industries, devastating. Being in the event business, it just was ground stop. At least restaurants pivoted to, restaurants were able to pivot to takeout. Our quilters saw, our craft category people here, they saw an uptick in people finding crafts and rediscovering things and finding new ways to do things. And so with that, it kind of really hurt, we'll say, the business side of the industry. Many organizations either went out of business, went bankrupt, just kind of collapsed and didn't really have the ability to keep going. Other people's losses, sometimes other people's gains. And we saw this market opportunity. And that's when we launched H+H Americas in 2022. Its first year, we had 198 companies with about 1,900, I think, 80 or 81 people. Fast forward to our 2025 edition, and now we had 554 companies with 5,100 and change. I forget the exact number off the top of our heads. But I think what I'm very proud about is that we're in balance, where the quilt industry and the art industry, it's maybe 60-40. It's not 100%. And I'm oversimplifying because I'm not counting some software and beads and buttons and packaging. But it really has kept even parable. So now one side is larger than the other. The only other thing I'll add into that before I finish my statement is that how I got into all this, I've been with Cologne Messe now 22 years. So it's, as you say, like it's a long time, it's a lifetime to be here, but have always worked in trade shows and special events. And I've been an entrepreneur myself, so I'm a good Swiss Army knife when it comes to a lot of these things.
Okay. So what's your favorite part of the business? Because from what I have heard, were you at Quilt Market this last month or whatever?
I've gone for probably the last 10 years or so.
Oh, I did not know that. What did you do when you were there? Did you have a booth or?
No, I mean, pre-COVID, we would go and try to recruit companies and talk to companies about what we do in Europe. Post-COVID, it's amazing enough. I do always meet with the organizers, Quilts Incorporated. So we don't show up with unannounced or uninvited. So we always make sure that they understand we're coming. We sat down with them this year, the Friday before the event opened. And it's really is a way to still connect with the industry. I mean, I look at it personally from a couple different angles. One, we do a live trade show. If I don't show up at live trade shows, I'm probably raising a question for the validity of the marketing platform. At the end of the day, even you can say what you want about certain events, but you still had almost 200 exhibitors there. You still had, I don't know, maybe it was 1,000, whatever the number was, because I don't think they made those numbers public. But there's still a mass gathering of people that, for me and the efficiency of it all, I can go into one place and I can't talk to that many people in a day on a phone or write that many emails. It still, I think, speaks to the value of the product that we're trying to sell as a platform. It's kind of like why brick and mortar is still vital, because you can't touch how soft something is. You can't see the colors. It's hard to take swatches and put them side by side on a digital screen. It's the one thing that I think protects, particularly in this industry, it's just the way we do business.
Well, and I have to say, the first time I went to Quilt Market was 2015. And shortly after that, well, even then, people were already talking is this show going to be sustainable? and not just this show, but shows in general. But I think yes, because no matter how like everything can be done online, not to mention the touch, the value, especially in our craft industry where you're feeling and touching, but the face-to-face connection, you cannot beat it. And I didn't even think about the efficiency of like, you're able to meet so many people all at once. But when you do talk to somebody face to face, that connection is so much deeper and like more real, if you will, than an email or that kind of a thing.
Well, at the end of the, you can look at what we do for a business, right? We're about humans to humans. If nothing else, if we haven't learned through COVID itself, we're still human beings. We still want to connect. We have more technology than ever to allow us to do things like we're doing right here today and not having to be in the same room. But it doesn't supplant the in-person experience. If that was true, then why does anyone go to a football game? Why does anyone show up at a baseball game or a concert, a museum? There's experiences that you want to have that need to be, in my opinion, need to be in human contact. And people will say, well, the Generation Z or Generation X or whatever that generation is that my kids are at the moment. But yet you still see bars are busy. They still are getting together. It's weird. They sit on their phone in the same room, but they're all sitting together. So there's certain pieces to it that are just, again, we're just human. We want to, and that's the number one underwriting factor is that we want to be humans. Humans want to be inspired, and particularly in this industry, the inspiration, the creativity it's a nonstop. We just don't stop wanting to do these things, whether you're young or old, wherever you are in your career, if it's a career, if it's a hobby. And that's where, again, it goes back to this need to be in person and human. And yes, when the internet was created, that was going to kill trade shows and events. Well, then why didn't all the museums close up? Hey, Barnes and Noble is even coming back. Like, they went through some things. They're now reopening stores. Like, people like paper. Is it the same volume as it was before? No, but books still have tremendous value.
It's funny when, I don't know, years ago, I went to New York and found a bookshop and I was like, oh my gosh, this will be a dying art or dying thing, but I actually did not know that about Barnes and Noble. There is just something about we're human beings. And with AI, everyone's like, oh, we're going to lose. I actually think human connection will become more important as the rise of technology, goes. So we crave that connection, and we're made to be social beings,
We are instinctively, right? You can look at the animal kingdoms and again, how social communities just happen as part of nature. But if you want to know, is this AI or is it real? Is the video AI? Is it real? Is the podcast real or is it AI? Well, if you're standing in front of them, there's your answer. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, yep. You actually know they are a real person. It's a real instance. It's a real thing. And that's, I don't know, still to me the beauty of it.
Yeah. And I would love to just chat about, for like my listeners who they're mostly entrepreneurs, quilterpreneurs, if I may say, they're probably wondering, should I have a booth at H+H? If not, why would I go? So can you talk to like, who should have a booth? What's the point of a booth? And if you don't have a booth, why would you go to the show?
Well, now that we have we'll call them two products, two experiences, now to me isn't the answer if, or it's more of an answer of which. And it depends where you are in your entrepreneurial experience, right? Whether you're a solopreneur, whether you're a professional crafter, or you're a hobbyist who's kind of on that budget, like, do I want to make this a career? And that's kind of the edge that we lean on. So H+H Americas is a business-to-business event. So now, and then we define that as anyone who makes their living through crafts. That's a pretty broad stroke. What does that mean? Well, obviously brick and mortar, that's easy. E-commerce, again, super easy. Exhibitors, which are suppliers, wholesalers, distributors, original manufacturers. Yes, all of those things are part of it. But so is your high school teacher who teaches the fashion program. So is the designer. So is the educator who runs around from store to store, travels the country teaching classes. So is the content creator. I know it's a taboo word, the influencer, because it's a tough word. I actually had a long meeting last week on this because for a while, people said we want to be called content creators, particularly in this space, because we create content. We don't pitch product. But after a couple of years of doing this, I'm sorry to say influencer is probably the better word because everybody produces content, but not everyone who produces content is looking to monetize that voice. And if you want to monetize your voice, meaning you get a financial reward for talking about certain products, using certain products in your platform, posting about certain products, yes, you're creating content, but you're also trying to, we'll say, influence individuals about the good or the bad of a product. Content creators, a retail store needs to do TikToks because they're doing an unboxing, they're showing what's in their store, but they're not necessarily monetizing that video channel or the podcast channel against advertising dollars. So that's a big difference in that space. Again, so we have all of those channels, and also we have many people who are getting ready to open a store or is buying a store. I love that last year an individual, she's like, Darrin, because of your show, I was able to open my store in September. And I'm like, oh my God, you're the holy grail. Because you're the store that nobody knows exists, that every rep would love to find, and that you don't have any brand allegiance to any one line and has kind of already won you. You're like, you are wonderful. Or another retailer, a quilt shop actually, somewhere in Iowa, and I forget the small town it was, she went to the show and she was like, oh my God, I didn't know there was so much yarn in the world. That just surprised her. But then she's like, I went back to my store and then I looked around my town and she goes, I realized I have no competition. There's no yarn shop in my town. The only other person selling yarn in her town was a mass market retailer. So she didn't change the whole store, but she brought in some product and now she has a whole new customer base to grow her business. And that's a big thing for us is who is your customer, know your customer, and that your customer might be someone you don't realize who it is. To which let's put a pin on that because we want to come back to that later. It's something important to us. So we have that show. So if you're in the business of wholesaling products, those are the types of people that buy booths, whether you're a designer showcasing your patterns for sale, a solo book that you wrote a book and you don't have distribution. We got a pavilion for you, but that you're trying to resell items into or through distribution and use. So there's that side of it. If you're more of a maker, like a professional maker, your job is maybe to come because this is the greatest place to source. We have every machine manufacturer. We have all the leading thread companies. Pick a fabric company. I can't believe we're missing them. It was cool. I wish I remember the name of the company. They had all these cool feathers. It surprised the heck out of me. They were very popular though. And so on, buds and beads and all those things. So that's what H&H is about the business to business commerce that takes place. Then you have our new festival format, and the festival is kind of the flip side of it. People who want to sell to consumers, where we want to bring the region's consumers together for education, inspiration, networking amongst consumers, having fun, and then, yes, buying product, right? So there it could be anything from a retail store who's doing a pop-up for the weekend to a designer. And we have things like a handmade goods pavilion. So if you make candles, there's for you. Some people, I'll never knit a scarf, ever. I've tried. That's not my skill set, but I want to buy something that's beautiful, or I want to have a piece of art because I want to reward the artist. So there's that handmade goods pavilion. There's going to be a cosplay pavilion for people to source cosplay items. We're even working with the Nowhere Collective to have something that they've done called Trashy Market, which is all upcycle products. Taking old sweatshirts and make them into blankets, making handbags out of old fabrics, repurposing old handbags, cool. Cutting them up. Like there's a whole upcycling culture. So that's a pavilion with it. And then, yes, we have traditional. So the machines, the fabrics, the threads, all of the traditional stuff is there. And then again, what we know is crafters are going to craft. A quilter, that might be their number one hobby, and they identify as quilting. Guarantee you in the top 5 is going to be reading books, probably gardening, cooking, and more than likely knitting, crocheting, or some other fibery thing.
How do you know this? This is bizarre because I know my customer likes to read and interior design. What was the other one? Cooking. I wasn't actually aware of that one.
Yep. How do I know all this? I'm very smart. No, so over the last 3 years, one is like when you're around the space enough, and our job as an event organizer is to, and particularly me, I talk. So in having the opportunities to meet people like yourself, You talk to the manufacturers, you talk to the retailers, and you start hearing the retailer's frustrated about X. And guess what? The manufacturer's is frustrated about the same darn thing. And it's like, can we just get together in a room, people? And they don't know how to talk to each other, or they didn't realize the pain points on either side. And that's what our job is, to kind of bridge that gap, to help them both do more and realize how to bridge it. But the Handy Quilter has for years done some research under when it was Premier Needle Arts. Then when it broke off, Mark Hyland, lucky man, has recently retired, but he has always commissioned a very large, like 3 million consumers nationwide survey, for particularly focused on quilting. And he's done it for years.
Where do we get those results? Like, as a marketing person, it's like gold.
H+H-Americas.com. Honestly, we have...
You share it?
Yes. So a couple things that you could find there. Well, he shares an executive summary with us that we're allowed to post. The big report of it is internal to his organization. But you can watch for the last, is it 2 years or 3 years? Kind of forgetting a little bit. But all of our main stage sessions, so the Friday of every year, he presents the fresh data. So they do new research every January. They research it. It's compiled in April. It goes to their executive board in April, and then we're the first week in May. So it is very fresh market data. But in the last 2 cycles, they work with Barocco yarns, and there's 2 sides to the survey. So now the survey covers quilting and knitting, or fiber, because it's knitting, crocheting. And so each person has presented their side of the view. And again, it shows you how similar the customer profile is, how similar the makeups and the needs of the individuals are. At the end of the day, the quilting segment is a larger business from a dollar point of view.
Oh, interesting.
Part of it is just because you sell machines. So by sheer default, right, when you're selling machines at entry-level machines at $500, $800, and then you start moving into the thousands and tens of thousands, and it just moves up that needle as far as the overall movement of the space as compared to some crochet hooks and a ball of yarn. They sell lots of stuff. They're very passionate people, but crochet hooks even premium ones still are not $10,000 embroidery machines. And then in that sewing side, also you get into some of the more industrial side. And then there's a little creep at the high end when you move it from hobby into pro, and then manufacturing level. But yeah, so all of that research you can watch, you can listen to on our H&H Connect platform, which is our business-to-business community platform, kind of like LinkedIn, but for the industry. You can find all of the years of our keynote sessions. They're posted there for free. And then you can find links to this trend content and this kind of information.
All right. I will look that up and put the links for that in the show notes. So off the top of your head, can you share a few more interesting statistics about quilters that you know? So gardening, I guess I should have put that one together. Anyhow, what are some other trends that you see? Like, I'm going to throw out there, tell me if I'm right or wrong. Most have a college degree of education.
Yes. Some of the research is a little self-fulfilling, right? When you start looking at age and demographics, and that's largely, I think that, in being a full critic, right? Like, there's statistics lie, statistics say what you want them to say. If you've ever taken a statistics class, right? Where accounting is zeros and ones, there's no lying in accounting. Statistics just depends on the data you put in. And then you'll get a statistical output from that. At least that's my opinion. Like, you can make statistics say anything you want them to say. That's why when you look at politics, 2 different people could do the same survey but have 2 totally different answers, because they just use the data in different ways to put more weight on one side or the other. Because if you go on TikTok today, there are thousands of people who look like they're in their 20s and teens and, who are making fabulous things, but they don't self-identify as a quilter. And they're not showing up in that atmosphere. And that's why we've pushed into highlighting cosplayers, right? When you stop and look at cosplay making, right? Some people might be like, oh, those are the freaks and geeks. Those are the goth people. Those are this, whatever. But when you stop and actually look at those outfits and the hours that they've spent, thousands of hours, thousands of dollars of love, care, time into these things. And then you ask them, where do they buy their product? They're buying it online.
Local quilting shop.
No, they don't.
Okay. They don't. Well, because they're not a quilter in their eyes. Yeah.
They're not a quilter, so they don't even think to look there. Joann's would have been a hub for a while in doing that. But now that obviously that's gone its course, what I think they're buying it online, partially because when they go to their local quilt shops, they either don't have the items they want because it's quilting fabrics, it's not garment fabrics. The store doesn't necessarily know how to speak their language and what they're looking to do. They also look at them like again, what is this walking into my store? I had a shopping experience where, she was 12 at the time, my daughter, taking, I know it's not the right word, but home ec, I think it's consumer sciences is what they call it now. And it was a sewing class. I'm very fortunate my middle school still had that. And you could bring in your own fabric if you wanted to make pillowcases. They had fabric for the kids that just wanted to get through. She wanted to actually make stuff. And we went to the store, and they didn't know what to do largely with the 12-year-old. And they really did not know what to do with me as a dad. And then they really did not know what to do with me when I started pulling all of my customer stuff off the shelves, and someone walked in and she was asking something. She's like, I just saw this on Instagram last night, and it was a new pattern from Tulip Pink, and the shop employee had no idea what the woman's walking about. And here
Really?
Well, because it just came out the other day at Quilt Market. So literally, it was I went to Quilt Market. I flew home that Saturday. I went to the quilt shop with my daughter. They're talking about something that just was released at the show 3-4 days before, right? I get how they may not all know. And I saunter over. I'm like, can I help you with that? That's this fabric. This is what it was. She introduced it here. It's not coming out the hair. And they were like, I don't know what.
I love it.
What are you? But the whole part is you don't part of it is why at H&H is so important to us is opening up your eyes to who that customer is. Just because they're an Etsy maker doesn't mean they're not a business. There's a lot of Etsy makers that can make $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year. It's a marketing platform. Mm-hmm. Yes, there are some people that are hobbyists and they make $50 a month, if that. And that's that fine line. But I also don't think where are we to be the judge in gatekeeping when someone says, I now want to make this a living? Or because I always bring up the story of the little lady. She was a school teacher. I think it's Vermont, where she did a knitting pattern for mittens. And then this little old man wore them on stage. And then she blew up, right? That woman who knitted those gloves for Bernie Sanders just became the thing. She wanted to stay a school teacher. So so she stayed the amateur. That's wonderful. But then there's others who would have taken that and just become the latest designer.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think thinking about those statistics, sometimes hearing even what I threw out, they all have a college degree. Sometimes it can turn people away oh, I don't fit that demographic, so I guess I better not be. And we don't want that. We want to welcome everyone who possibly could want to give it a try, I am curious about classes that are offered because personally, there's a lot that I want to learn. And so I'm tell me about that. What's offered? When can a person sign up? How quickly do they fill up? All the things.
So, first we'll talk about the business event. So the classes start on May 4th. The sewing machine manufacturers have private meetings for their best customers. So if you work with Handy Quilter Retailer Academy takes place at our show, Janome, Brother, Bernina, R&K, all did these private meetings. They are next year. They are next year.
Okay.
I should say it's open to everyone. It's even SVP is looking at it. Baby Lock is looking at it. So, but it's replacing another event that had gone away that was specific to the sewing and vacuum universe. And so they wanted to have these more specific meetings on the machines, whether it was not so much new rollouts because they all do their own corporate events, but it might have been on maintenance, just very specific things for the sewing dealer and the repair shop. So those kick off on Monday, May 4th. May 5th is our Super Bowl of education. So we have something called H+H University or H+H University. And like a university, it has different colleges within it. So the sewing dealer stuff is going on with the manufacturers. Now we add this thing called H+H University, and there's a track specifically for the sewing and vacuum dealer stores. So their classes will be things like selling through finance, selling through upgrading, right? Because those are very specific to that channel of sales. We have traditional brick and mortar, we have e-commerce, we have a designer educator track, and then we have an influencer / content creator track. each focused on what specific needs of their business. So on the influencer track will be things like on maybe brand deals, valuing your time, protecting copyrights, fair use law of certain things when you're editing and using other content. We're talking with companies like Descript on doing technical training on Descript, to another individual, particularly who's an expert in podcasting and how to get into podcasting and work the flow on it, or a class like how do you manage the flow, right? Being a content creator is exhausting when you're posting 3-4 times a week or editing shows and you're thinking weeks or months in advance, as well as brick and mortar, how to not train the employee for the next business, how to retain your employees in sometimes a difficult space. So you have those going on. And then there's brand interactions on through that. There's some hospitality, some sponsorship opportunities. But then at the same time, similar to the events in Texas, we have something called Product Academy. Others know it as Schoolhouse, same thing. It is 30-minute, 6 rooms, 30 minutes, 15-minute intermissions of just product introductions so you know how to gear up your next day. Then that evening is capped off with Sample It, Sample Spree, same thing. Last year we had about 110 companies in the room. Again, and it's just like the show floor, it's eclectic. It's all the products out there, but we have a mobile website where you can actually sort the companies by category. And what was actually more important for some people was who takes cash only and who takes credit cards. So we tracked who did that so you can know in advance of what you wanted to do. And then in the middle of all this, we actually do for the content creators and for another small group, we do a kind of behind the scenes preview of the show floor. So particularly for like that media part can be ready to go to work the next day. If that's not enough, we didn't even get to the trade show yet. Because then on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, those are the days of the trade show. So you have this marketplace of this year will be over 600 vendors strong, I believe. You will have every morning starts with a keynote. The day one is always the Golden Scissors Award. And then that's followed by...
What is that?
That is done by the Craft Industry Alliance. They have a sustainability award, I think a retailer award, there's 4 awards that they do. And I apologize, I don't remember all of them off the top of my head. They're nominated by the community, so anyone can nominate. And then they have a panel of judges that then look at the nominations and narrow down the process of picking who wins these awards. And then we have a state of the industry panel, which always includes an international voice, a manufacturer voice, a retailer voice, and then sometimes then the 4th voice is sometimes a content creator, just someone else in the space. Day 2, so then you have that during the day, and then during the day, that's always in the morning before the show floor opens. Then once the show floor opens, we limit the number of classes for businesses, but we still have 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and ones will be like a trends class. One could be how to handle if you get like kind of getting canceled, like you made a bad post and now everyone's jumping on you, how to manage, because sometimes people can say things that are not always, I won't say not thought out, but just taken out of context, or like that was not your intent and now you got to get on top of it. So that's going on. But then every partner we work with, every media outlet we work with are all welcome to host meetups. So you see meetups randomly happening throughout the day for different communities who self-organize. There's book signings. And all of these are found within the overall agenda. We have tours. Kay Fassett is on site giving tours and explanations of his latest exhibit that he brings each year. We have a happy hour every day on the floor. So the last hour of the show has a happy hour. There's a main stage that every hour on the show floor, there's a panel discussion. It's free for everyone.
Wow.
And it could be anything from how to get publicity to craft activism to cosplay meetup. So you can meet the cosplay makers. Then we also have the only time, and everything up to this point, if hopefully it's noticed, is not technical, right? Because it's not a class in sewing. It's not a class in technique. It's all how to be a better business owner, a business operator, a better employee. Some classes are not always geared at the owner. It's geared maybe at another individual within the organization. So it's always about how to improve yourself. So a big thing I remind people is ask yourself, what's the investment worth? Because people do say, I can't be away from my store, the cost of a flight, the cost of the time, hotel rooms. I get it. But at some point, you invest in yourself. Maybe you go to yoga, maybe you take an exercise class, you invest in your personal self, like taking time off, or reading a book. Going to the trade show is an investment, hands down. And it's a question on how, I won't say serious, but how you want to grow that business in the future. And that's where you have to make that edge. And then on Wednesday night, we end with a fashion show. Last year, we had about 21 brands, of which if you go to our website now, you can download the lookbook of the show. So we just published last week. It's a 82-page magazine that has every model, every look, has some free patterns in it if you want to make some of the projects. There's also editorial content in there regarding the show, and you can download that for free online now. So that's put out. There's also videos of the whole show of everything that's looked through the book, and on YouTube you could find it. And that's, again, like, I take a deep breath because we're just at Wednesday. How much time do we have here? Because I have 2 more days to get to. And we haven't even talked about festival yet. On Tuesday, all of that repeats. The day two speaker is usually a featured inspirational speaker. Someone from the crafting industry, really meant to inspire. But then everything else repeats again. Same kinds of business classes, same kind of meetups. Except that day we have our cosplay competition and fashion show. So we have professional judges who this year, I think we had 20 somewhat outfits on display maybe. And they're competing for $17,000 in cash and prizes.
Oh, dang.
Yes. So there's a whole...
One person gets that?
No, there's a couple different categories because that's split between...
Okay.
We have a student division and a professional division. So they split that. And then, so there's kind of a mix. I think it's broken up to 6 different awards in total, 3 and 3 is how it's given out. And it's given out a mix between cash, but then Genomi's giving away machines, and then there's fabrics. So it's kind of, there is some cash for everything, and there's also product mixed in with that. And it's really neat because when that part of the show happens, we make an announcement so people can pay attention, but they take a long way through the show, and it's like a Halloween parade, and everyone turns around, and that's one of the most popular thing on the main stages that takes place there. We end with another happy hour that day, and then that evening we have something called H+H After Dark, which is our party. So it's across the street, and it's a backyard barbecue. There are vegan options, and it's dancing, and there's more product giveaways, and there's private suites for businesses that are trying to do a more intimate gathering for their people. But for anyone who has the cultural reference of a bar or bat mitzvah, just imagine that with only adults and no one's going up in the chair. No one's being lifted in the...
Darn it, I can't go up in the chair.
Well, I guess if somebody really wants, we could. But,
right.
We didn't dance to horror, but maybe we could bring that into the next one. No, it's really just meant to be a celebration of ourselves so that we can just celebrate each other and then celebrate this industry. And that takes place Thursday night. And then Friday, we have the research is featured on Friday morning. Again, we have the trade show, you have the business classes, you have all that other stuff still going on. And then we cap off the afternoon with an ice cream social.
This is just genius. Like, who put all this together? This is fun. This is a party. By the way, I'm going this year or next year, I guess, for the first time. Because everyone's talking about it and I want to be there. It just sounds fun and it's the thing to be at.
Well, we listened. So like 3 years ago, a creator contacted us and said, hey, I do a Twitch show. That's their channel. And she's like, do you mind if I record? Why would I mind if you want to record content and publicity? I'm like, I know we're going to be good, so I'm not afraid of what you might cover. And then we started talking, and she's like, yeah, I got to pack all this equipment and all this stuff. I'm like, why don't I just make you a studio? What if I make a studio? You send me the shopping list. I'll go buy it. We're going to build the content creator studio. We're going to put it in the lobby like a TV station, so you're going to sit in a fishbowl, and people are going to come by and wave at you as you record your show. But then we'll open it up to anyone that wants to record a show. So it's 4 microphones, 3 cameras. It's got a high-speed internet connection, so you can go live. The problem we went with is the technology is a little too high-end. So it had like a Rode mixing board, and people just didn't understand how to use this multi-channel mixing board and OBS software. These are not simple tools. They can be.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I mean, they can be very simple if you want. OBS is a piece of software that's open source that allows you to do a multi-camera shoot. And all you do is you can actually just tap a button on your keyboard or on a keypad kind of setting, and the thing will roll sequences of like title sequence, switch between cameras, all those types of things. And it's once you learn it, it's actually really relatively easy to do, and you can get super sophisticated with it. Or the Rode mixing microphone has 4 channels plus a call-in channel that you can isolate each voice channel on its own mic. And then it has these, what they call MIDI keys. So you can kind of pre-program in those camera switches into the MIDI key, or like the sound effects into the key, or you can kind of really step it all the way up, or you could just literally hit on and record and it just goes. You can keep it as simple as you want. Those are some of the technical classes we're going to offer this year, because many people said they want to up their game a bit. They want to learn the next level of tools that are available. But as I say, it was just listening to someone and them saying, that's a win-win. Mm-hmm. And that's largely what we believe in. It's a win-win. Just like when you look at the organizations we work with, you'll see we have a lot of partners. It's kind of like an NASCAR. Even Road to California has been one of our partners in the past. And he produces a consumer show, but we are in different parts of the U.S. And more important to us is that we just get, as long as we get more people buying, we'll all get our piece of business out of it. And then the answer, I'll try to be a little quicker. On the Fiber Fabric Craft Festival, on the consumer side, it's a more traditional consumer event. So there we will have hands-on sewing classes, just about every machine manufacturer that you could think of, whether it's the long arm class from Handy Quilter to a Juki machine to a Baby Lock machine to a Bernina Brother. Again, you name them all. You can go down the long list. They're all planning to do classrooms. We've changed the model a little bit on how teachers are getting selected to teach on those machines. So you will not.
How are you selecting?
Well, we did an open call for presenters, and we received just about 400 class ideas. That shows you the community input. But what's wonderful is the class ideas go from traditional quilting to garment making, to cosplay making, to hand sewing fabric covers for sketchbooks and making your own books. Like, so if you're keeping track of a project or designing something, to crochet, needlepoint, knitting, and everything in between. But the difference will be with all of the classes have been vetted through different content partners, whether it's the Crochet Guild of America picking out a track of classes for them. We've gone to some industry knitwear designers saying, hey, here's all the teachers. What can you share with us? And then we've done that a couple different times so that no one person can kind of say, oh, I don't want them to teach because maybe they don't like each other. It always happens with humans. But a big change has been on the machine side is that a frustration we've been told from students and from the manufacturers is that they quite often have a teacher who stands up in class and says, I've never used a machine before in my life. Let me teach you this class. That happens at quite a number of other events that you can go to. So we kind of flipped the models. We got all the ideas, but now those teachers who said they want to teach on Company X machine, well, we asked Company X, what do you think? Do you know them? Do you like them? Are you going to endorse them? Or we've had a couple of cases where they said, no, we know of them, but we want to get to know them better. So thank you for the introduction, because we now have 8 months to get them ready. So we're, again, keeping our B2B core where we're taking this educator creator, helping them meet a brand deal on top of their teaching this class. The classes for that will run Thursday, April 30th, and then May 1st, 2nd, 3rd, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The trade show runs Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it'll follow the same format where we'll have our paid classes you can take. There's 1-hour classes, 2-hour classes, half-day classes, full-day classes. There will be classes in the evening, classes that won't start until 7 or 8 o'clock at night because not everyone is free during the day. We will have classes in Spanish. So that's going to be something I think unique and new. And the classes we're targeting, you can tell by who they're probably geared at. Yes, we'll have the traditional quilter, but we also have a large focus on the younger artists as well. So and then community groups are doing meetups. So different guilds have rooms themselves to do their own meetups, to do their own community gatherings. Still playing around with whether we'll do an evening party our first year. We'll see. We'll do something. But yeah, so it's again that same. And then we're even working on Fan Fest. So think of your favorite creator or your favorite influencer on YouTube or wherever you watch them. And they're going to be available at the show for you to meet.
That is
and maybe
so
buy
cool.
some of their branded items. Similar if anyone who goes to a comic book show or an anime show, or if you're a Bravo fan, if anyone's ever gone to BravoCon, it's taking that fan festival idea and say, you know what? Our creators have fans. Some have small audiences, but they're hyper focused. Others can get into the millions.
Yeah.
So we want to bring that. We want to bring that party to the table.
I just have to say, like, are you the genius behind this? Because there is some amazing marketing here. Does it come to you naturally, like all these ideas?
It's a whole team.
Or is it, okay.
No, it's a whole team of us. I mean, yes, my ego is large enough. It absolutely is. I'm not going to say no. But my ego doesn't need any more inflating. And my family does like to kick it down every chance they get. I have a 13-year-old and a 16-year-old, and yes.
Say less, yeah.
They will pop that bubble. And even my wife came for the first time this past year to the show, and it was because we had a Bravo star, Craig Conover, I believe I got his name correctly.
Yeah.
Craig was at the show because he's promoting a new product, a new fabric that he has with Robert Kaufman, and he had a new book, and he's got a housewares line, and he's now quilting himself, and I had an opportunity to meet with him. We walked around a bit. We talked, and my wife came with me. And as we were walking, she was blown away at people. She can hear them whispering, saying, "That's Darrin over there," and pointing at us as we walk through, or people coming out of the aisles. I constantly tell my kids that I'm Instagram famous. And
you're like, I'm a big deal. Trust me.
Well, it's, our Instagram audience is growing, and it's under our company. It's under the brand H+H Americas, and the festival has their own. But I'm the face of it. So I'm the one who does the lives. I'm the one who does all the, any video-y things. Mm-hmm. And so, and most emails come out underneath my name. So, so people do know I get to wear the face, but it is not done without a very competent and energized team who we push and will these things into being. And the hard part is, as I sit here and I think as the hamster is spinning, I'm like, I forgot to talk about something like our student day that I want to make sure I get out there. So at H+H Americas, the last day, Friday day, is student day, where in our first year where we tested it, we worked with a local high school that has a fashion program, a 2-year college, which I believe is fashion design. And then the 4-year school was like fashion manufacturing, I believe was the programs they're in. They all came down and they get a welcome kind of speech from us. They then, something called Next Gen, which we can get to in a moment. They meet the next gen artists. They took a class from one of the sewing machine manufacturers and a physical class. Then most importantly, the thing that I was probably most excited about is they got a class in why trade shows are relevant. Why, like, whatever they go into, because obviously high school kids, who knows what they'll be, even if you're in college, like who knows where you'll go, even though they're a little more specific. But it was important to us to talk about shopping at shows, walking through shows, sourcing at shows, how to organize yourself to go through shows. For the younger students, like being professional, dressing up, how to ask questions. And then a couple of our staff members walked them around the show and kind of gave them a guided tour. And then they all had free time to explore and do things with. And the exhibitors loved it. Some people are like, are they going to mind talking to these kids? They're like, no one in their right mind is going to mind talking to a young person
the next generation
who might be buying a machine or go home and influence the purchase of the machine. Or my background was culinary, and my very first chef knives are still my favorite chef knives. Not because they're the best. Not that they're even any good. It's just those are the ones my school made me buy, and that's what I started with.
Yeah. And then there's sentimental value and the memories and
all of that. And then, my grandmother did this. My grandmother used this machine. My mother used this machine. Your aunt, your uncle, whatever the connection is, that's the core of this industry. It's all about stories. And that's the core of these products, right? Like, you can say red yarn is red yarn is red yarn. Yeah, it's all red. But there's a story behind every skein. I don't care if it's mass produced or not, there's always a story. And that's, I think, the interesting piece to all of this. But you're talking about the next gen. So we actually run another program called the Next Gen Artist Series, or the Next Gen, it's NEXGEN, Next Gen. where each year at the business show, we pick an under 18-year-old artist to highlight.
Very cool.
And
I like that.
they put their artwork on display. We put them on a pedestal. They go on our main stage. They do an interview with the media. They're focused, they're in our newsletters. They are part of the Creators Summit. And it's going into its third iteration. And so I'd say watch in January. You can find out who the 2026 Next Gen artist will be.
I'm going to throw out a nomination. You probably already have it, but Max, his name is like Max Couture. He's
Couture to the Max, yes.
Yeah.
Just let's say this is really meant to, it's like, this is one of these moments that are going to get me in trouble. To say that I cyber stalked them is a probably extreme way to put it, but his Instagram handle is handled by his mom. And yes, we've been emailing with his mom for probably about 3 years, trying to engage with them, find a way. And one of the biggest trouble is he's in public school, right? Like our shows during the week, like this kid goes to school. Our other artists that we have had have been homeschooled students, so they've been much more flexible in where they go to school. And I'm very hopeful. Well, one day he will graduate. One day he will not be in school.
Yes.
So there's always that. It's not forever.
Right.
Or like, one of the ideas I just sent in an email was like, can we at least get him to Zoom in after school? Right. It gets home at 3 o'clock and he's, I believe, on the East Coast. So at least East Coast, 3 o'clock. Well, we're in the Midwest. So that's only 2 o'clock our time. We can have a live interview on stage. I'm like, there's ways, or maybe this, if he's got some items we can put on display and highlight his work. Mm-hmm. I don't know. To me, it's like, I hate saying never. It's a matter of when or how. Well,
yeah,
I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep trying. I'll keep emailing with mom.
Well, I want him on my podcast too. I'm like, I'll keep on pestering because I want him on the podcast. He's so fascinating.
There we go. See, we'll go at this together because you're going to come to the show and he may not be there, but you can be the podcaster interviewing him on stage. And then you can do a live, you can record it. We'll broadcast it live. And then everyone gets the win-win.
It's a win-win-win. Yep.
Yes.
All right. Let's make it happen. So I'm blown away by the show. If I weren't already planning on coming, this would have sold me on it. But what you did say, you want to put a pin in not knowing who your customer is.
Yes. So this is a theme that we've chased for years. So you'll see things like "It's for you." That's been a long time tagline we use because when we first came with our show H+H, the yarn industry had no show. So we instantly, the yarn folks are like, ooh, B2B show. They came in. The other half said, yeah, we still have this other experience. It's okay. It's meeting whatever our needs were. So we didn't win that audience. Year 2, we started seeing this audience come over. But people would call me and say, but it's not a quilt show. And I'm like, I'm so confused, people. I'm like, and I read them. At that point, we probably had about 75 quilting-oriented vendors. And as I read them the list, and I'm like, okay, you said we're not a quilt show, because there might have been 150 yarn and 75 quilting, let's say. And I read them the list, and they're like, oh, okay. And I'm like, how about this? I will personally make 25 appointments for you with these companies. And she's like, I can't have that many meetings in a day. And my response was, I thought you said there was nothing here for you to see. Then it's like, well, it didn't say quilts in the name. Okay. So then we got past that. Then it boiled down to, she's like, well, I'm a solopreneur and I can't leave my shop. Okay, so that's a different problem. Let's figure out how we solve that problem. Our digital platform helps with that because you could source all the vendors on there. You actually have every attendee who ever came or ever signed up for our digital platform. And it's just like LinkedIn. You can search by product category of interest. People have to turn on their networking, but you can see what years they attended. And if you connect, you get their email addresses, just like LinkedIn, but it's specific to this sector. So that's part of knowing that it's for you. As long as you make your living using craft materials, this event is for you. Just like cosplay, it's for them and they're for you. Our second year, we had a gentleman named the Crochet Boss. That's his Instagram handle. Do you know who he is?
Well, there's a younger crocheter? Is this that was
no?
Okay.
No, Crochet Boss is his actual job is a professional mixed martial arts fighter.
Really?
He's 6'8". At the time, he said he slimmed down to 280. He's got a big old bull nose ring. His hair is kind of he's a boxer. Not even a boxer. He's a fighter, right? Like these are in the cage, mixed
MMA.
martial arts kind of dudes. But he wears into his ring his crocheted Afghan that he made. He makes professionally, he makes Afghan headbands that he sells. And he teaches inner city kids that he uses crochet and knitting as a way to meditate, as a way to clear his mind before a bout, a way to have focus, a way to kind of, because the knit, when you do those kinds of activities, you got to kind of count and keep a rhythm, how it gives him this kind of mental ability to focus and count what he's doing and kind of watch each individual thing. And then he also uses it on the back end of how to come down from all of that adrenaline. And that maybe if you're in some inner city programs, like this is not an expensive hobby, that, hey, maybe it's a better use for your time and energy in your hands than maybe some other things you can find for yourself in life. So when he's walking through the show, it's like a football lineman. Like it's just a door walking through and a pretty big, huge, scary dude who is just a kid in a candy store and just like gleeful on stage. He sat there knitting the entire time he was interviewed and talking about how and why he loves these things. But it's like, he's your customer. Right? Or Tom Daly, the Olympic diver from the UK, like totally different end, but he's your customer. And they couldn't be any further from the difference of each other or to the stereotype that we all think of our customers.
Yeah.
And that's what's important to us. It's helping businesses grow and helping businesses find new customers. And that's even on our consumer side. It's so super important to us because we at least believe that knitters knit and sew is sew, and they'll go to those respective stores. But we know on that list of research, they cross somewhere, or they want to cross, or they forget that they can cross. When you go on a vacation, it's really hard to take your quilting machine with you.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
Yep.
But when you go on a vacation, what are you bringing? You probably bring a book, maybe a coloring book, maybe a diamond dots little thingy. Maybe someone reminded you two crochet hooks and a ball of yarn go really well in a bag and does well on a beach. And that's where we think when you start walking a trade show floor or a marketplace and you're in the quilting section and then you all of a sudden walking past this other items, I think the retailers are going to be surprised that they're going to find new customers. Let alone they probably live in the same town, but they don't even know the store exists because it's just outside of their view. It's like, how many times have you driven down the same street and never realized? And then your spouse or your partner or friend says, yeah, they've been there for 30 years. And you're like, oh my God, I'm embarrassed.
Yeah. Well, and I have to say that, okay, speaking just quilting industry is both most friendly and also very not friendly. Like you can find both, but there's this sense of like, what you're saying, like we're quilters and nothing else. But I feel like there's this younger generation that's like, no, we're not having that. We are open to everyone. We are more than, I don't know, where this H&H show feels like it is that. And I would love to see all quilters kind of open up to like, oh, there's this bigger world that we're a part of. And I don't know, it sounds like it's the same vision that you guys have, but it's happening and it's exciting.
Again, just the ultimate goal, if we just make the pie bigger, then we all get to eat more.
Yeah.
If we keep thinking it's a small pie, it's a niche, it's knowing this or that, then we don't get to have a lot. Or another wonderful example of how opening the eyes for people, one of the machine manufacturers came one year after the show. He's like, okay, I didn't understand who these attendants were. We kind of messed up our presentation. His second year, he came back, and then his machine was couching. And the number of people said, oh my God, you can use yarn on the sewing machine. The number of quilt shops were like, holy bleep, I need to go buy yarn because I sell that machine.
I didn't know this. Yeah.
Right. So the machine uses yarn to sew with.
What?
Right. That's the couching piece. And they're like, wait a minute. So these quilt shops are like, I now have a whole nother line of product. Again, you don't need to bring in everything. Doesn't need to be whatever line, but you can now all of a sudden sell one more thing. It's not just the machine. It's not just the fabric. It's now thread. Oh, and yarn. Right. Or the yarn shop who says, I'm going to go to my quilt shop in my town and go say, we should partner. Hey, you get someone who come buys the thing, send them my way.
Yep.
Right? Like those kinds of fortuitous, inspirational experiences. And when you walk the show, people ask us, why is it not organized better? And I said, because if I put it into the categories that you think, you will never think outside the category you're in. My job is to entertain, inform, inspire. And yes, in some respects, it is mostly categorized, but yet motive fabric is nowhere near the sewing machines. It's like the milk in the back of the store, right? Or you find Andover Fabrics is right in the middle of all the yarn folks. And then, yes, you have Janome not too far from Synchrony Bank, who's not too far from Riley Blake, who's not too far from Robert Kaufman or Marcus Evans. Like they're all, so like they're part of it. Yes, it is somewhat categorized, but it's also partly when the show develops. So you have one entrance where people that was yarn. That's where we started. And then as we grew, you kind of see it. So the show itself takes place in technically four exhibit halls is what it spans now. As I say,
I see it growing. Yeah.
It's very cute when you look at our floor plan and you look at 2022. It's like a baby photo. Like everyone looks at baby photos and like particularly, Facebook filters. They're like, oh my God, weren't you adorable then? So you look at this little trade show floor. It's like, oh my God, look how sweet this looks. It's so adorable. And then you look at it now. It's like, oh my God, you're a teenager. Like when did this happen? And it's scary. It's amazing. And what's very nice as us as event organizers, but again, I really put this onto the industry. There's an industry publication called the Trade Show Executive Magazine, and they run every year they calculate. It's done a year behind because of just trade shows we have to get to the end of the year to finish counting. So they do the fastest 50 growing shows in America. So in 2023 and 2024, we made that list, and guarantee you we will make it again in 25. And then the same thing happened for the last 2 years. We've been a finalist in staying connected. So the way we stay connected with our community, whether it's our digital platform, we do monthly roundtables, again, through the platform where every third Wednesday is for exhibitors. Every fourth Wednesday is for attendees. And that's purely so that we can give you all an update because things move fast. We do 9 million things that even if we put it on the website, it's impossible to find and read. There's just a lot of things. So you can hear it right from us. You ask us questions. And I think the most beautiful part of those meetings is when exhibitors or attendees start asking each other, what did you do? What did you do? What did you see? What are you planning to bring? And we do that every month along with the Craft Industry Alliance. She's doing roundtables and focus groups to help us develop the content. Last week, I just did one for influencers where we had about 40 of them show up, but it went out to about 200. And it's really just meant so that we can hear directly from the voices of the people that make up this community, because our job is to reflect back everything that we hear.
I mean, I'm not trying to butter you up, but like you're doing a good job. Your team's doing a good job. I mean, it is really, really well done, well thought out. It's progressive as far as technology and connection. And I'm impressed. And I'm not the only one. That's why I'm having you on the podcast. Everyone is talking about it. So I'm like, let's do this. So well done. I cannot wait to come. When do tickets go on sale and where can people find them?
So the first thing, if you don't follow us already, I got to do the shameless plug. Follow us on Instagram, please. Right. Mm-hmm. So H+H Americas and then Fiber Fabric Craft for the two different shows. We do cross post still quite a bit, but so each ticketing system will go live on February 1st. By January, you will have a month head start on what classes will be offered in both programs. But we'll silo business class. All the business information is going to be on H+H. All the consumer stuff is on Festival for the sake of just shortening the words. So you can following us on Instagram is probably the most. We do post 7 times a week. I'm starting to post like every Friday of just here's my Friday update, where it's just the top things that come to mind, where I just can talk and say, here are the things we did this week. So we can share those types of ideas. Both websites, just go on our website and you'll see it. There's newsletter place to sign up so you can kind of get emails. You can put it, if you want to give us your text cell phone number, we will SMS you. But you'll also realize last year in all of time, I think we only did two text messages. in the entire year. So you're not going to be,
So
you're not getting
safe.
one. Like,
Yeah.
it's safe. It's not like my pizza place that literally sends me one every Wednesday and every Friday. But then again,
Right.
I don't opt out. For whatever reason, it's
You're
just
still
easier
getting
to do.
them. Yeah.
It's like junk mail. Like, whatever. It's easier to delete it than it is to get myself off the list. But no, we really use it because we cherish the fact that you're willing to give us something so personal that I think we have an ethical responsibility to use it appropriately and with real reason. Like yes, we text messaged once, the ticket shop is open. That is something that everybody wants to know, and it is an immediate thing. To a question you asked earlier, when do things sell out? When it comes to festival, I have no idea because it is the first time. My guess would be is the machine-based classes will sell out faster because they're limited by the machine. So you're only going to have 20 to 25 spots per machine. Most of the machine companies are looking at offering 2 classrooms, so 2 different kinds of machines, so we can have different kinds of settings, different types of class experiences. But still, you can just see how that goes somewhat quickly because those will run Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and probably not too much on Sunday because those machines will have to get packed up for the people that have purchased those machines. On the business side, it's less because we just don't have the hands-on experience. So it's a little bit different format. And the classes tend to be a little bit bigger on that side. So the average class size at our business event could be upwards of about 100. I'd say on average for the business classes. Our product academies, the rooms are ample big. You can put 50, 60 people in each one, but there's 6 of them running simultaneously. So the odds that everybody wants to go to the one. Last year, Sample It, we had, I think, about 900 people online.
Wow.
I would have to say it's one of the most fun things I get. The 2 fun things I really get to do is walk that line. And I'm a loud human being and I like to talk if you haven't noticed. But I just go up and down that line yelling. Like, where are you from? Who's ready? Who's got their credit cards out? Who's from the furthest point? Like playing games like that. And for anyone who does content, make sure your microphone is on when you do this because I did the whole thing and my microphone battery had died. So I got it was just no audio for any of it.
I'm going to just guess your kids are either super proud of you, but given their ages, they're embarrassed by you. Because my husband is very similar to you. And it's a love, like, I love my dad. Oh my gosh, Dad, stop,
Let's just say the color of her face when we went to cheer practice the other night and I'm screaming Hamilton songs in the parking lot.
I love it.
And she's like, aren't you going to get embarrassed? I'm like, and while the song was also changed about how, and I'm very proud because she's a freshman and she made varsity. So it was this whole thing about a freshman making varsity, but to Hamilton style songs and whatever.
You and my husband have got to get in a room together. It would be a party. I'm just going to say it. He's at the high school right now playing a guitar, singing a song about like marketing and business. And
he went up to me. I can't do that. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, if that's the memory they keep for the rest of their life and it makes them laugh and giddy, like, so be it. Like, there's many other things. I'm sure there's things that they'll remember that are not so good. We all make mistakes as parents or as people. So.
Right. Yeah. So, okay, one last time, where should people go to follow you and to find the tickets for the show?
So for the business show, H+H Americas.com. It's also the H+H Americas, no dash, is our Instagram handle. You can find a ton of information there now. You can also find all these videos on demand. So if you're like, I want to go back and watch, or I want to join that H+H Connect platform, it's right there. H+H platform is free. You'll see the merch store. It has it has 3 years of our lookbook are all there for free download. So go do that as well. And then the other one is fiberfabricraft.com. And then again, there you can find our Instagram, which is fiberfabricraft is our Instagram handle. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Threads, Mastodon, Blue Sky, TikTok, though we're not very good about posting to TikTok. So give us an audience there. I don't know. I just don't seem to. I'm just going to pull out. I'm too old. I know I'm the same. I'm like, do I have the energy for TikTok? I don't know. No, probably not. I just don't think I produce content that's TikTok-y. Like,
right. It's a different thing.
Talking about teachers and like when I'm physically at the show, I think that's TikTok-y. But that's 3 days of an entire year. So filling that pipeline of content, I think is hard. Instagram, it's easier because I could post articles. We can post inspiration. That I think is an easier world. And I would say our largest audience where people connect with us is on Instagram. And I would say, please reach out to us because we do have volunteer opportunities at festival to help us out. If you have a group or a club that is, hey, maybe a bunch of you are getting in a car. I talked to a woman from Minnesota that's coming down with 5 friends. And I'm like, look, if you want to get together, we have rooms for you to kind of do meetups and do those things. Or if we have hotel rooms, if you need, we even on the websites, you can find a fabric shop tour, a yarn shop tour. And for me, the most important one is the donut shop tour.
Say less. Yeah, I would love that.
So you can tour around the greater Chicago area to find nice local retailers, see unique retail formats, and yes, bring the stretchy pants because there's like 25 donut shops on there and they're all tested. I did try them all.
Well, it was tested by you. Okay, we're going to hold you accountable.
Personal tested. Yes. Yeah. My daughter and I did it one day when she wasn't in school. She bagged out after about the 7th or 8th stop, but we kept going. She couldn't keep up.
You're not a quitter. So,
I like
okay, I did have one last question. I know there are going to be listeners who are like, wait, I want to present. I'd like to teach at this. How does one go about doing that?
Unfortunately, at this point, it's pretty tight. You can always email me. Like, I hate to say no, but at this point with 400 ideas, it's a probably next year kind of a thing.
So 2027.
2027 is probably where it's going to end up. But then again, hey, look, if someone's got such a unique, cool, crazy thing, or, you're a creator and you have an audience that we're like, oh my God, that's a niche. We want to make sure that's represented. Again, I hate to say no. So we'll always say, hey, let's look at it. But then we always turn the question around and say, look, if we do this, how are we going to sell this? Who's the market for? Like, are they already addressed? Is there anything left that is left for them to buy? But there are the main stage, which is more like our TED Talk stage. We call it Craft Talk. That is an unpaid opportunity, but it is a place to show thought leadership and creative ideas and community leadership. But you can also, host a meetup. Again, if you have a community people, you can just kind of use that as the format and say, hey, let's get our community together. And whether it's solopreneurs just who want to commiserate together, or there's a group of, I think they're mostly yarn shops, but it's a private Facebook group and they only get to meet once a year and they meet at the show. We don't post it live. It's, we have a room, it's set aside, but you can't find it on the agenda because it's private to them. And they have their own private meetup because it's their crew that they all talk to all the time. At H+H Americas, we had over 325 things, whether it's a book signing, a meetup, a paid class, a free main stage, keynote session.
I should chat with you after this about a podcast meetup. Podcast listeners, come, let's meet up. I'll chat with you about that. Throwing that out there for the listeners.
Well, you could do that from two sides, whether it's a opportunity to, again, meet with your listeners, to just, again, talk to other podcasters, like podcast creators. Can we please get together to share what microphones are you finding that are awesome? How are you shooting on an iPhone? Are you using whatever? What are you all using? Who's got the coolest, neatest thing? Because unfortunately, it changes so fast and it's very hard to stay on top of it. And then, to the part of meeting your fans, I think is super important. You see a lot. I've gone to a couple. I listened to a tech podcast. And they did one in Vegas when I was there. And it was the funnest time. And it was just weirdly giddy just to be able to go up to the person who's always on the mic, who does the show, like saying, I just want to say I really enjoy listening to you. Like, I love your show. I love your content. I had nothing else to say to the guy.
Right.
Kind of weird and awkward. Like, it was kind of weird because I didn't really have much else to say. And it was like, okay, I'm 12 years old. Move on. But they did this because they know they need to connect with their fans. And yes, they also sell merch. Like, they make a few bucks too. Like, it's, and it was sponsored. I think Delta Airlines sponsored the whole thing, and they had a couple hundred people there. So it was a whole thing to do. And we have this incredible program that I want to make sure people hear about. It is closed for this year. So before we get too deep, put your pens down. No one needs to write this thing down. But we're very excited with the Craft Industry Alliance, as this is going to be our inaugural year of our scholarship program. So the scholarship program is built to break barriers down for the retailers of tomorrow, for the craft retailers of tomorrow. What's truly wonderful is it's not only backed by the Craft Industry Alliance, Cologne Messa and H+H Americas, but also Fermori and local crafts have stepped up, all financially contributing so that we'll have over $5,000 to make sure that the retailer tomorrow can gain their sourcing knowledge, product knowledge, community knowledge, business knowledge, and figure out how to grow their businesses to be successful tomorrow. So we're very excited to see this. It'll be really fun. I would say follow us on Instagram and follow us in the social channels because you can find out who wins, who is selected, and then more importantly, once they're selected, there's going to be follow-up after the show. We're going to talk to them and ask them, was it worth their time? Was it worth the investment? How did their business get better? So there's a long tail follow-on with these individuals to see how it impacts their business.
Now, I'm curious if someone hasn't started a business, but they want to. Like, what do you look for when people apply for the scholarship?
Well, fortunately, I'm only donating money. I don't actually get to pick. We pick people outside of myself and the craft industry lines because we want it to be impartial to us. But it's a number of different factors. So it's anything from looking at how long have they been in business, what kinds of communities they're serving. Is it their first time? Is it their 10th time? Where are they located in the U.S.? The story behind their inspiration of what they're doing. I would say it's not exactly a ton of like analytical, hit this benchmark, get this goal, fill this box. It's much more on the softer side of things, on the emotional side of the piece. Like we're really looking to find those stories of those individuals that just need the opportunity and they can be tremendous entrepreneurs of tomorrow.
I love it. I mean, this has been exciting. I feel like a kid on Christmas morning right now that's like, oh, when can I open the gift? When can I go to H+H? So very excited. Thank you so much for taking the time out. I know you're very busy. Really appreciate you coming to talk about the show for our listeners so they can get excited about it as well.
Well, and I can't say thank you enough because the more people we can talk to, the more people we can get together. Thank you again for having us on.
Darrin, thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast. It was so fun chatting. I appreciate a good marketing mind, someone who just has the gift of party throwing. I mean, H+H sounds like quite the party, quite the event. I'm thrilled to go and just so fun. So thank you, listeners. I hope you really enjoyed it too and felt inspired and excited about this event. And if you want to know more, be sure to check out the show notes. And Darrin, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. And listeners, get ready. I'll be having some more information about H+H Americas and the meetup that I'm putting together. So look forward to that. And we'll see you right here next week on the Craft to Career podcast.